On Beyond the Couch, the VTV crew meets with Tom Elder as he shows us the Dry Fork Flume Trail. On Dish by Dish, Jason makes a delicious dump cake. Living Well, Uintah Basin, presented by Ashley Regional Medical Center. Also made possible by Warriors Warehouse and Uintah Recreation District. Living Well, Beyond the Couch.
We're on the Flume Trail, which is, in my opinion, it's the finest trail outside of Vernal if you want to get to someplace easy and fast and with a variety of different things to enjoy. You have to drive about, for me, it's about 20 minutes outside of Vernal up Dry Fork Canyon. We came up to the highest trailhead, which is right next to Massey Cave, and you park there and walk across a bridge, and you're on this non-motorized trail that actually occupies the wagon track from the 1890s, where they used to be cutting lumber up on the mountain and bringing it down to Dry Fork. As you walk up, you pass through first a bunch of lodgepole pine forest and then some sage meadows like the one behind me here with occasional ponderosa pines. It's very peaceful and beautiful. It's part of the roadless area of Ashley National Forest. So it's really easy walking to horsemen or mountain bikers, or this time of year in particular, hunters, because this gets hunted pretty heavily, which is why I have my bright shirt on, because you want to make sure that you're very visible to the hunters. It's really easy walking. There's nothing in particular difficult about it, and the couple 100 yards on up the way, there's this really nice historic structure that is gives the name Flume Trail to this trail. It's this old wooden structure that the pioneers built to try to capture their water and move it away from a cave system. When you get up here to the actual flume site, what you see are a series of what look like giant planters, these big wooden structures, and these are the supports for something that was sort of like a flume. When we get up to Dry Fork, you'll see that there's a whole bunch of water in the creek up here that the people in Dry Fork settlement needed, but the creek stopped flowing for most of the year. It goes into a cave system a little bit below here. During the winter, when they had fewer chores, the community members came up here and they tried to build a flume that would divert the water away from that sink and then put it back into the creek so they'd have water year-round. And you have to picture the actual flume that was on top of these supports. It was like a bunch of boards put together like a sluiceway that was carrying the water above the ground on down canyon from us. And after like 3 or 4 years of back-breaking labor putting this thing together, they turned the water into it, but the flume itself leaked. It leaked so much that it washed away a lot of the foundation of these supports. It fell over different places. They tried to fix it. And then actually when they got it as fixed as they could, they found out when you put the water back into the creek downstream of the sink, it goes into the ground anyway, because the cave system underlies this whole valley. This is one of the coolest historic sites outside of Vernal. Probably about a mile, a little less than 1.5 miles to walk up here, but it's an easy trail, easy for people to get to. Behind me is Dry Fork, and when the settlers settled Dry Fork community down canyon from us, you have this great big bold running stream for part of the year. And in the springtime, it runs, but in the summer it would dry up. And by dry up, I don't mean it got smaller, it went away completely. So when they came up canyon, they found a place in the bottom of the valley floor where the creek was just going into a cave system, and they call that the Dry Fork Sink. And the water just drains down into this cave system and travels like 12 miles underground. And actually, for a long time, people thought, our water's gone. It's disappearing into the center of the earth. But sometime much later, after the failure of the flume, they put some dye into the creek right here, some pink dye, and they put it in and it went into the sink, and 3 days later it appeared at Ashley Springs, which is 12 miles away from here, and it's the main source for Vernal's drinking water. In my experience, people are more worried about going out into the woods than they really reasonably need to be. You should be reasonably careful, but not freaked out about coming into the woods. Because realistically, walking up the Dry Fork Flume Trail, in my opinion, it's way safer than driving to the trailhead of Dry Fork Flume Trail. Because you come out here and there's really not much for you to worry about as long as you're smart, you know where you're going, you're not going to get lost, you've got some water, people know where you've gone. There's a couple things that I would think about though, like in the fall, like I mentioned before, you want to make sure you're visible because there's hunters out there. I've got a dog and I love walking with my dog. It's healthy for him and healthy for me. I don't take my dog up the Flume Trail. I don't really take him up into the woods around here. And there's a reason for that. There are moose around here and sometimes you bump into one. And if you bump into one and it's just some human beings, moose are kind of unpredictable, but normally if you see one, and you say, well, I'm going to go this way. I don't want any trouble. The moose will just kind of watch you leave. But if you got a dog that runs up and starts harassing a moose, there's no telling how that's going to end. So I don't bring my dog into the woods. That's a private decision on my part, just because of the chance of running into moose. There are bear here, but I never see them. You want to be aware of the possibility you might bump into a bear, but bears, they know that we're bad news. They've been hunted for centuries, for thousands of years probably, and usually they see a human being and they're out of there. There's elk, there's some other animals here, but by and large, it's not like going into East Africa where you think a lion's going to jump on you. There is not much out here in the way of animal life that's going to hurt you. Objectively, I'd say that the biggest danger is not being prepared for the weather or taking a small fall. That's the sort of thing that you want to be prepared for. And one of the best ways to be prepared for something like that is to go with somebody. Have a first aid kit, of course. Going solo sometimes gives you some benefits. It's wonderful in a way that it's not the same as being with people, because you're by yourself, there's no talking, it's quiet, you're alone with nature, and I think that's perfectly okay. But I always leave for my wife on my computer a Google Earth image showing her where I was going so that she knows where I was if I don't show up on time. I would just say that I think people are more alarmed at walking around in a place like this than they really need to be. We were up at the Massey Cave trailhead that when you cross the creek and go upstream, you arrive at the old historic flume structure, which is a really nice walk. This trailhead is a little bit closer to Vernal, about 2 miles closer to Vernal, down canyon from the Massey Cave trailhead. So the Dry Fork Flume Trail has like 12 miles that you can access multiple places, and all parts of it are less than a half-hour drive from Vernal.
Freedom Fitness would like to thank you for your years of patronage. We at Warriors Warehouse are happy to take over the legacy of Freedom Fitness and will support you for years to come. Stop in today.
Finding a family physician can be time-consuming and frustrating. Ashley Regional Medical Center has a solution. Dr. Matt Bowen. Dr. Bowen is a family practice physician and opened his practice in August of 2014. Dr. Bowen is skilled in all aspects of family medicine, from pediatrics to geriatrics, and can treat you and your family for anything from coughs and flu to high blood pressure. Call 781-1200 for appointments.
Living Well Health and Wellness Tip brought to you by Warriors Warehouse.
Have you ever run out of gas during a long workout or a run? Fill your tank with fast-acting carbs such as Sharkies or honey stingers.
And these products are made for kids and adults alike, so whether you're making it through your toughest workout or just through the Little League game, it's going to give you that energy that you need to get through. In addition, honey contains vitamins and minerals that are going to help the body function optimally, as well as help boost immune function.
Come get your honey stingers and sharkies at Warriors Warehouse, 1060 West Market Drive, Suite 1, here in Vernal.
Living well, dish by dish.
Hi there, Jason Webb coming to you from the kitchen this time. We're doing an awesome dish today. This is one of my absolute favorites. This is a peach dump cake. It's similar to a peach cobbler. It can be made in a Dutch oven, and that's where I first learned how to make this recipe. My father used to go on Boy Scout camps, and he'd bring his Dutch ovens with him, and we would have some fantastic, wonderful dump cakes. His favorite one to do was with cherries and a dark chocolate cake mix, but we're gonna lighten it up. We're gonna do something that's a little bit more healthy and lighter than what my father would do with that heavy cobbler that he would do. So we'll just dive right in. What we've got is we've got some fresh peaches that I cut up this morning. This is about 4 to 5 peaches. It's about 2.5 cups or so. What you're basically looking for is for it to cover your 9 by 11 cookie sheet or baking sheet. And it doesn't have to be completely full, but pretty close. Now these are actually grown locally in Santaquin. My in-laws live down there and they gave me a huge bag of them. So I thought, well, let's go ahead and use them because they're so beautiful and so tasty. Okay, so we lay those down, get them leveled out, and the cake mix that we're using today is just your basic yellow cake mix. I tried to find a light cake mix, but was not able to find one. So you're just gonna spread out the entire cake mix straight from the box, and you're gonna wanna cover up your peaches. And you're gonna wanna get just a light coating over everything. Okay, and then cinnamon. What makes this recipe also really healthy is the fact that there is not very many ingredients in it. You can use cinnamon and sugar if you want as well, but we're staying on the lighter side, so no sugar on this one. We've got plenty of natural sugars in the peaches. So we're gonna do a little bit of cinnamon on there. And then my favorite part, we're gonna do 1.5 cups, which is about a can of soda. Today we're gonna use Sprite Zero. Again, lighter on the calories, lighter on the sugar. And when you pour this in, it is going to foam. That is normal, that's what it's supposed to do, so don't freak out. After you get it poured on, let it sit for a little bit, and you're gonna get your oven going at about 350 degrees. We'll pop it in, and about 30 minutes, we'll have a beautiful, wonderful, healthier dump cake. All right, so now we just pulled the peach dump cake out of the oven. It's been there for about 45 minutes at about 375. So we're gonna go ahead and plate up this dish. It smells awesome. Now you can do as big as small pieces as you want. Just for the sake of the camera, I'm just gonna do a small piece. Oh, it smells divine. You got that nice golden crust, a little bit of cinnamon on there, and those juicy peaches. Very hot. Absolutely wonderful. Best dish ever when you're doing parties, when you're doing get-togethers, campouts. You can do it in the Dutch oven. It's absolutely wonderful. That's all the time we have for this episode of Dish by Dish. We'll see you next time. And remember to always tip your server, and that includes your pizza boy. See you next time.
Be sure to like us on Facebook for updates on VTV Channel 6 programming. Don't forget, you can watch current and previous episodes of Living Well on demand at VTVChannel6.com. And while you're there, be sure to send us an idea for an upcoming episode. If you enjoy Living Well Uintah Basin, please take the opportunity to reach out and thank the local, community-minded businesses that make it possible. Ashley Regional Medical Center, Warriors Warehouse, and Uintah Recreation District. Until next time, live well and stay healthy, Uintah Basin.